Welcome to Tally Help videos. In this video, you will understand how to reconcile your purchase transactions in GSTR 2B reconciliation of TallyPrime once the suppliers file their GSTR 1, GSTR 5, and GSTR 6 returns. TallyPrime Release 3.0 brings in the facility using which you can import the transactions of your suppliers, download it from the portal, and reconcile in TallyPrime. And the imported data becomes the part of your company. TallyPrime also ensures that if there are mismatches or transactions that are missing in books or portal, then you are aware and can take actions to reconcile as needed. Further, you can choose to ignore some types of mismatches such as presence of prefix or suffix, special characters, and others. What's more, the report also recommends the transactions in your books that match the transactions of your suppliers with some difference as potential matches. Therefore, you can mark such transactions as reconciled. And if you feel that the transactions needs to be imported again, as there are a lot of exceptions, then you can easily reset GSTR data in TallyPrime and re-import the transactions of your suppliers. First, let's open the GSTR 2B reconciliation report. Press Alt+G. Type or select GSTR 2B reconciliation and press Enter. Press F2 and change the period if needed. And if you are using multiple GST registration feature in TallyPrime Release 3.0, then press F3 to select the GST registration for which you want to reconcile the transactions. By default, the report shows the reconciliation statistics. If you want to view the sections of the vouchers, then press Ctrl+H. Voucher statistics and press Enter. Let's get back to the reconciliation statistics view. GSTR 2B reconciliation report is divided into two sections: input tax credit available and input tax credit not available. Both the sections have two parts, Part A and Part B. Part A comprises of purchase transactions, while Part B contains purchase returns. As you can see, Part A has all the purchase vouchers and purchase escalations, while the Part B has purchase returns. It is important to note that a transaction appears in the input tax credit not available section for two reasons. The first case occurs when your place of supply is same as the buyer while your state is different. For example, this can happen when you avail services at the supplier's place. In the second case, it occurs when the counterparty uploads invoice after you have filed the annual return. You need to note that you cannot claim input tax credit on a transaction after filing the annual return. For instance, the annual return cutoff period is 20 months and you have filed the return within the cutoff period. So, you can't claim ITC on any invoices of the financial year after filing the annual return. You can see the count of reconciled and the unreconciled transactions. These are the transactions available only in books, and the transactions of your suppliers required for reconciliation are yet to be imported. The report gets updated with relevant section based on the transactions you import. You can also press F12 and configure the report as needed. If you want to view vouchers with pending actions in other periods, then you can set the option as Yes. And if you want to view vouchers with pending actions for other returns, then you can set the option as Yes. You can also set the default period for which the report will open each time. This ensures that if the selected amount of a transaction in your books is different from the transactions of supplies imported by you, then you can easily identify those transactions. Press Ctrl+A to save the configurations. Now, let's import the transactions of suppliers. To import the transactions of the suppliers, press Alt plus O. GST returns and select the GST registration for which you want to import transactions. Under Return Type, select GSTR2B. Specify the folder path where the JSON file with the transactions of suppliers is located. Select the file and press Y to accept. The transactions get imported and you can view an import summary. Press any key to get back to the GSTR2B reconciliation report. Now, let's see how to identify exceptions in unreconciled transactions and resolve. You can see that some transactions get reconciled while the other transactions remain unreconciled. And you can easily distinguish between your book data and portal data. The portal data is represented in blue color. This helps you compare the values. Now, press Ctrl plus B to view this data as per your requirement. Show report details based on enables you to view transactions based on their reconciliation status, such as unreconciled, mismatched, available only on books or portal, and so on. Let's view the report for all transactions. Method of showing values from the portal enables you to view the comparative data or only difference value as needed. The default method is comparison of books and portal values. Let's view difference in books and portal values. Press Ctrl plus A to save. As you can see, the reconciled transactions have 0 as the difference value, while the unreconciled transactions show difference compared to the respective portal value. You can see the sections such as all other ITC supplies from the registered persons other than reverse charge. The report is in condensed mode. To view further details, you can press Alt plus F1 or Alt plus F5. From here, you can drill down to any of the sections, CB2B Invoices section, to view the supplier GSTR or UIN summary. Let's press Escape. You have the flexibility to drill down to the All Other ITC Supplies from the Registered Persons Other than Reverse Charge section to verify the information. You can view the details related to all the sections, and then you can further drill down to the B2B Invoices section and view supplier GSTR or UIN summary. You can see the GST status of vouchers. If you want to accept transactions with mismatch of INR 1 or 2 compared to the transactions of the suppliers at the time of import, then you can enable match transactions by ignoring difference in books and portal values under F12 configurations. As you enable the configuration, such transactions move to the Matched with Difference in Values section. Drill down to the section. Press spacebar to select the transaction. Press Alt plus S to set GST status. Select Reconcile and press Enter. The transaction is marked as reconciled. It immediately starts appearing under Reconciled manually in its respective section. Alternatively, you can drill down to such vouchers. Press Ctrl plus I. Type or select GST status and press Enter. Here, you can update the GST status by typing reconciled and selecting it. Press Ctrl plus A to save, and then reaccept the voucher. The transaction gets reconciled. It is important to note that you can set GST status of any transaction irrespective of the way you have configured the report. Let's set GST status of this transaction. Press spacebar to select the transaction, press Alt plus S to set GST status, select Reconcile and press Enter. The transaction is marked as reconciled. Press Escape to go back to B2B Invoices screen. Press F5 to view the report voucher-wise if needed. You can see that the transactions under mismatched have some difference in invoice amount. There can also be transactions with mismatches like RCM applicability, tax amount, and others. Now, you can see that a transaction is mismatched in return period. Press F12 and enable the Show Effective Date for Return option. Now, you can see that the return effective date of both the transactions are different. It might have happened that you created the purchase voucher in a specific month, but the seller had created and uploaded the sales invoice in the previous month. To reconcile the transaction, you need to change the return effective date to match with your supplier. Press spacebar to select the transaction and press Alt+L. Enter the return effective date as that in the supplier's invoice and press Enter. The voucher gets reconciled. You can also drill down to a voucher. Press Ctrl+I, type or select GST return effective date and press Enter. Here, you can update the return effective date and press Ctrl+A to save and then reaccept the voucher. The transaction gets reconciled. Now, there is an invoice available on the portal, but there is no corresponding purchase voucher in your data. In such a case, you need to find the voucher with the wrong document number or supplier's invoice number which matches the invoice available on the portal. If there is no such voucher in your company, then you will need to create one to reconcile this. To know the details of this invoice, press Alt+R for GST portal view. You now have the details of the invoice which you can use to create the corresponding purchase voucher. You can see that all the vouchers are reconciled for the month of April. Now that you know how to resolve transactions to reconcile, let's see how you can handle the exceptions related to document number. There are a few transactions that are only on the portal. This may be because the party uses prefix such as company name or zeros in their invoice number to maintain consistency. However, you do not follow the practice of entering the invoice number with prefix. Due to this mismatch in the supplier's invoice number in your voucher and their invoice, the transactions remain unreconciled. For such parties, you can choose to ignore prefix as needed. Press Alt+G. Alter Master. Ledger. Type or select party name and press Enter. Press F12 and set Ignore prefixes and suffixes in document number for reconciliation to Yes and press Ctrl+A to save. You can now see the option on the ledger alteration screen. Set it to Yes. Enter the applicable from date and the prefix as applicable. Press Ctrl+A to save. Get back to the report and you can see that the transaction has got reconciled. You can also configure your company. Press F11. Enable Goods and Services Tax and select the GST registration if you have multiple GST registrations. Set these three options as Yes and press Ctrl+A to save. Use voucher number and date as supplier invoice number and date. Ensures that the voucher number in supplier's invoice will get considered as the supplier's invoice number in your purchase voucher. Ignore 0 if prefixed in supplier document number. Ensures that if there is some party which uses zeros as prefix to maintain the number of digit in their voucher number, then the zeros will get ignored. Ignore special characters if used in supplier document number. Ensures that if some party which uses / or some other special characters in their voucher number, then those special characters will get ignored. This setting ensures that if there are some transactions that are appearing under available only in books and available only on portal due to such exceptions, then those transactions get reconciled. Get back to the GSTR 2B reconciliation report. Now, let us see how to find potential matches to unreconciled transactions. It may happen that despite following all the steps to reconcile transactions and ignoring the value difference and prefixes, a few transactions are still under available only in books and available only on portal. In such cases, you do not need worry as TallyPrime has got your back. You can easily identify potentially matching transactions. Let's drill down to B2B invoices. Press F5 to view the report in the voucher mode. You can view the report with all the sections and easily identify the transactions under available only in books and available only on portal. Now, let's see how to find the potential matches of these transactions. Press F12 and set Show Potential Matches between books and portal to Yes, and press Ctrl+A to save the setting. Under Potential Matches, excluding section, you can see the transactions in which all the values are matching, but their sections in GST return are different. For example, there may be an increase in the amount of purchase, and the party must have provided you with a voucher for sales escalation. However, you must have created a purchase voucher for the increase in the purchase amount. In such a case, both the vouchers will be in different sections of the return. So, your transaction appears as purchases and the supplier's transaction appears in the CDNR section. In such a case, drill down to your transaction. Press F10 and select Credit Note and press Enter. Set Provide GST Details to Yes. In the Additional Details, Local Purchase, Taxable screen, enter the details exactly as per the supplier's debit or credit note. Press Ctrl+A to save the information. Now, press Ctrl+A to accept the transaction. As you can see, the transaction has disappeared from the potential matches, excluding section, and has started appearing under the reconciled section. Under potential matches, excluding party GSTN or UIN, there are transactions in which the party GSTN is different, while all other values are matching. Party GSTN might differ in cases when a party has multiple GSTN and you might have chosen to bill on the branch company instead of the head office or vice versa while recording purchase voucher. Or there can be a data entry error in the party GSTN or UIN, say 0 was typed as O. In such cases, alter the party master to correct the party GSTN or UIN. Enter the correct GSTN or UIN and then enter the effective date and press Enter. Press Ctrl+A to save the GSTN or UIN entered in the ledger. Now, just drill down to the transaction. You can change GSTN or UIN in the party details screen of the transaction. Press Ctrl+A to accept the transaction. Back to the report, you can see that the transaction has moved from the potential matches, excluding party GSTN or UIN, to reconciled section. Under potential matches, excluding document number, you find the transactions in which all the values are matching but document number is different. This may occur due to some data entry error while entering the supplier's invoice number. In a different scenario, the supplier may have entered a 16-digit supplier invoice number as per their business practices, while you have entered only the last 4 digits as per the pattern you follow. In such a case, you may not want to update the supplier invoice number in the voucher. Just press spacebar to select the transaction, press Alt+S to set GST status. Select Reconcile and press Enter. As you can see, the transaction is marked as reconciled. Now, you can drill down to the Available Only on Portal section and press Alt+T to delete the supplies transaction, as you have taken a conscious decision to reconcile your transaction despite the mismatch. As demonstrated, the facility of potential matches for reconciliation helps you identify transactions in which all the values are matching, but there is mismatch due to section, party GSTN or UIN, or document number. You can easily take actions to reconcile those transactions. Now, it can happen that you identified some errors in transactions, or you might have imported wrong transactions. In such a case, you can reset GSTN data. To know how to do it, watch our video How to Reset GSTN Data in TallyPrime. As you saw, it is very easy to reconcile your purchase vouchers using GSTR 2B reconciliation in TallyPrime. All you need to do is import the JSON file with the invoices of your suppliers, identify exceptions, if any, and take actions to resolve exceptions and reconcile the unreconciled transactions. Thank you. To know more about TallyPrime features,